Hello and welcome to StudyIQ. Today we are going to have a very interesting discussion about the United States politics. We are going to talk about the US presidents and US administration. Now we all know that from January 2021, the new presidency of Joe Biden has begun. Before that, there were 4 years of Donald Trump administration. Donald Trump was a Republican. Joe Biden is a Democrat. So from January, there was a change expected. But in this particular video, we are going to talk about continuity rather than change. In fact, this is going to be a critical discussion, a critical analysis of Joe Biden's foreign policies in the last 8 to 9 months. What has happened in the last 8 months with Joe Biden administration. You can see here the heading of the article, when the White House changed hands from Donald Trump to Joe Biden, from Republican president to Democrat president. Not much has changed. It says that only tone has changed, but not the hardcore policies. So here we are going to analyze Joe Biden's policies from multiple dimensions. We're going to talk about trade, we're going to talk about geopolitics, we are going to talk about many other aspects and compare them with Trump's foreign policies, Trump administration policies in general. And at the conclusion, you will understand that not much has changed. Now, let's try to get all this information. Let's do this analysis. And to get this information, stay tuned with me on StudyIQ. I am your friend Rahul Saigaonkar. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on the ID @RahulSai222. If you have any queries, any doubts, you can directly message me on Instagram. I do reply on Saturdays and Sundays. And if you're preparing for competitive exams like UPSC Civil Services or State PSC or any other courses, this is a list of the courses that we run. Just visit StudyIQ.com or download the app from Google Play Store to know more about us. And there is a lot of discount running till September 30th. Do avail those discounts. Let's begin the discussion with an observation. Now, we all know that since January 2021, Joe Biden's presidency has begun. But before that, it was Donald Trump. 4 years of Donald Trump, I'd say from January 2017 to January 2021. Now, when you talk about Trump administration, when you talk about Trump as a president, I wouldn't call the Trump administration very transparent. Yes, there was a lot of opacity with the administration, but I would rather say there was some sort of a nakedness about the Trump administration. Now, what do I mean here? See, in 2016, when the US presidential elections took place, Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. He was the presidential elect. And people knew what to expect. That is what I mean by the nakedness. That means the policies of Trump, the presidential debates, through the presidential debates, what we understood that Trump is going to be aggressive. Trump is going to be protectionist. Trump is going to have strong immigration policies and he would be rather inward looking. His entire motto, or I would say his campaign, was run on the concept of America first. He spoke about America for Americans. He spoke about American jobs. We want to buy American, we want to produce American, we want to create more and more American jobs. So in terms of his policies, I would say both foreign policy as well as the domestic policy, it was America first, which was expected and which happened also, right? So his policies were rather erratic. In the sense, if we talk about domestic policies, everybody expected the society would be rather divided between Republicans and Democrats. His immigration policy was strict. He wanted to build a wall along the Mexico border, although that did not happen. But in general, immigration policies were very stringent. The policies were, I would say, swayed towards right. Now, at the global level, again, when we speak about America first, Trump said that I am going to bring my soldiers back into United States of America, wherever they are, be it in Afghanistan, be it in Syria, be it in Libya or Iraq. I'm going to bring US soldiers back. US is not going to play a bigger role now. Why? Because there are many other players we expect them to play a role. For instance, there is India, there is China, there is France, there is UK. They want to, or they have to play a bigger role at the global level. US would be taking a step back. Now, in terms of organizations, Donald Trump brought USA out of WHO. He said he does not believe in climate change. He brought USA out of the Paris Climate Agreement, right? And in general, his policies were quite erratic. We can talk about the trade war with China, the tariff war with China continuously, not thinking about the allies of the decisions. For instance, what would the impact of a decision on the allies or the partners? That was not thought of. Some sort of erratic decision making was there. And it was quite understandable. That is what I meant by the nakedness of administration. People knew what to expect. But a ray of hope did come. In January 2021, Joe Biden became the president-elect, and from 21st January, his presidency started. In the entire campaign, in the presidential debates, Joe Biden, he suggested that he wants to make America great again. He wants to bring America back into the fold of global politics. He wanted America to be back at the table. That was his motto, that America is back in terms of foreign politics. Whatever 4 years of aberration were there with Trump administration, that would be rather reversed under Biden. That was the expectation, right? Now, you can see here, America is back at the table at the G7 summit, which is concluded. Joe Biden says that we are back. But the big question that beckons in front of us is America really back? Are they back into global politics? That's the question. Now, as I told you, this is going to be a critical discussion and our focus would be predominantly towards no. Now, you can argue, sir, yes also. And to put that in perspective, just in short, there are many things that Joe Biden did to reverse Trump's legacies, right? On day one itself, he signed 17 executive orders. He brought USA back into WHO. He acceded to the Paris Climate Agreement. Many things were changed. I would say liberal immigration policies were brought. A lot of changes were brought. In fact, in the first 100 days, more than 50 executive orders have been signed to reverse Trump's legacies. So on one side, you can say few things have happened which are rather anti-Trump administration. But if we go for closer analysis, if we look closely, not a lot has changed. In fact, just the tone has changed. I would say tone from Republicanism to Democrats, but the policies fundamentally have remained the same. So let's try to analyze this from different dimensions. The first dimension, let's talk about trade. Now, what was expected from Trump? Inward-looking policies, protectionist policies, tariffs, trade wars, right? What happened under Joe Biden in the first 8 months? Let's talk about trade. I told you, right? Has Biden ended the trade and tariff war with China? The answer to this would be no. And here we can argue that perhaps he's looking to get a better deal from China. He's just playing a wait and watch policy, or he wants to gain from the leverage that Trump had created with this trade war from China. So a wait and watch policy might be going on, because recently, after 7 months, President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping had a phone call, 1.5 hour phone call, where some sort of a rapprochement was expected. And it happened also, right? To a large extent, the tariff war has not ended. Perhaps it might end in coming future. But the next question, what Trump administration did by its inward-looking policies, it said that I am not going to join the CPTPP, that is Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership. Initially, under Barack Obama, it was envisaged that TPP would be a 12-nation setup, but US said that we are not going to join. It is now 11-nation Trans-Pacific Partnership. The question is, has Biden reassured joining the CPTPP? As of now, no. Now, Trump's trade policies domestically, what was it? America first, America for Americans, American jobs. What is Biden doing? To a large extent, Biden is continuing those policies. You know that Biden has also proposed, in fact, he has passed an order for Buy American rules. That means the federal government is now going to buy products in which there would be requirement, there would be a 75% US made content requirement, right? Which is basically to boost the US industry. That means some sort of protectionism is still continuing. And ironically, I hope you remember that a couple of years back, India had also brought similar kind of provisions with respect to India's solar industry, domestic content requirement for solar industry. And United States had dragged us to the WTO and they won the case also. Probably India will appeal soon, right? But just try to understand that Buy American rules also suggest a similar kind of a thing, that at least 75% of the products, they should be US made itself, 75% US made content rule. So not a lot has changed. Even now, it's about America first, Buy American itself, isn't it? Now, let's talk about other dimensions. Now, let's talk about Transatlantic Partnership. Now, with Trump, it was isolationist policies. So with Biden, everybody expected that whatever problems were there between USA and European countries, those would be resolved. But that did not happen. What happened with Biden in the initial 8 months? Biden has been accused of total surrender to Putin. Now, Joe Biden and Angela Merkel, I would say the outgoing Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, they both colluded and they agreed to the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Now, media was abuzz with all these articles where they said that Joe Biden has surrendered to Putin. Now, one explanation for this might be that Joe Biden wants to have liberal foreign policy where he wants to improve relations with Russia. That is the only explanation that we have right now. But in general, we can see here nothing has been gained. What happened after this? Joe Biden did not gain much with Germany. He did not gain from the other allies like Ukraine, who were not very happy with the decision, Poland, who were not happy with the decision. Many other European players were not happy with this particular decision. In fact, in recent times also, Biden, he put a travel ban on Europeans. On the other side, the European Union had allowed USA or US citizens who were inoculated, right, who were vaccinated. So such people were allowed to travel, but a reciprocal travel ban was not removed by Biden. Now, this created further rift between the European Union and United States to a large extent, I would say. So again, the policies of differences continues between EU and USA. Perhaps the biggest setback is in Asia. Here we can see the continuation of Trump's policies. Now, what Trump said, that I am going to bring my soldiers back from wherever they are, be it Afghanistan, be it Iraq, be it Syria. The same thing is happening. The withdrawal of United States from Afghanistan, it has ended the 20-year-old war, but it has led to huge criticism of United States of America, isn't it? We ourselves have discussed multiple dimensions here, and US is being criticized in and out. What Biden said, that we are not going to fight the forever wars. Similar news also came from Iraq also, right? From Iraq, Joe Biden said that we are going to conclude our combat mission by the end of 2021. The same thing is going on. That means US is taking back their troops and leaving people on their own fate. The same thing happened in Afghanistan. Another development during Biden administration is that US is pulling out its Patriot missiles from Saudi Arabia. And again, when is this happening? When there is a threat from Yemen for Saudi. Saudi has been a long-term ally of United States of America. Now, Biden is pulling out the Patriot missiles. In fact, the Saudi prince himself said that US should not withdraw Patriot missiles from Saudi Arabia. But this was not accepted. So, Patriot missiles will be pulled out. Now, with respect to Iran, there is a question mark, right? When Joe Biden came, everybody thought that he would renegotiate the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was signed under Barack Obama administration with Iran. The JCPOA, P5+1 powers had signed. So, everybody thought some sort of renegotiation would take place. But in the 8 months, Iran has been kept in nuclear limbo, and the entire West Asian region is completely volatile even now. And the war on terror, I would say it has taken a step back. Similar policies, right? Don't you think it's similar to what Trump did, right? Trump had promised that I'm going to get my soldiers back. Biden has fulfilled that promise. Let's talk about other areas. For instance, Latin America. What's happening with Latin America? Everybody was thinking that the immigration policy of Joe Biden would be rather relaxed and Latin America would benefit from this. But nothing of that sort has happened. In fact, Biden announced fresh sanctions on Cuba recently. Although, again, you can argue here that the Cuban government resorted to violence against the protesters, but nonetheless, fresh sanctions have been imposed on Cuban officials. Apart from that, recently we saw that political crisis is going on in Haiti, where its president has been assassinated, right? In Haiti, many people have been leaving and they want to take refuge or asylum in United States of America. And you can see the news here. Biden has faced harsh criticism for expelling Haitian asylum seekers. About 14,000 Haitian migrants are camped at Mexico border, and most probably they'll be sent back, right? The United States is not accepting them. So just the tone has changed, right? Where Trump had said, I'll build a wall along Mexican border. Biden is not building a wall, but he's not accepting the immigrants completely. Now, here you can argue, giving a counterpoint, saying that, so the rules are being relaxed with respect to immigration, H-1B visa with respect to India. Yes, few things are happening, but it's not the reversal of Trump administration, isn't it? So still, Biden is trying to gain advantage from leverage, whatever was created by Donald Trump. Apart from this, another very important factor which is being continued from Trump administration to Joe Biden is leaving the allies without thinking about them at all. Take your decisions unilaterally. Do not take your allies into confidence, your partners into confidence. Just take the decisions that you want to take. We saw that with the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Now, with Nord Stream 2, US unilaterally, along with Germany, they decided that we are going to remove the sanctions from Nord 2 stream and it will allow the project to be completed. What about the reservations that Ukraine had? What about the reservations that Poland had? What about the reservations that other countries had here? There was no concern. US did not take all these players into confidence. They just unilaterally decided that Nord Stream 2 pipeline will continue. Apart from this, the classic example has been in the recent times, the AU-KUS deal, right? I'm quite sure that you've heard of this AU-KUS deal. It has irked the French president. In fact, the French president, the French officials, French ministers have alleged that Australia kept them in the dark, not just Australia, but even United States. So as a protest, as a mark of protest, the French people have recalled their envoys from US also and Australia also. A classic example where they take the decision unilaterally without taking into confidence their allies, their partners, the democracies, the so-called democracies. In fact, when this AU-KUS pact was signed, French lost a $90 billion Australian dollars worth a project, right? A contract where they were supposed to provide submarines to Australia, and this deal has now been scrapped. So we have seen from various facets, geopolitically, from the trade perspective, just the tone has changed, but not the policies per se. Now, if we talk about the COVID-19 vaccine diplomacy, a similar kind of thing is happening. America first is the policy of Americans. Now, you can see here, Biden has recently hailed the booster shots. Now, let me just remind you, what is this booster shot? Now, if you're taking a vaccine, right, Pfizer or Moderna, there would be 2 shots. Now, here in India also, we're taking Covishield, Covaxin, 2 shots. This booster shot is a 3rd shot to boost your immunity. And Biden has supported this particular thing. Now, if you look at this, what is happening? United States of America citizens are getting a 3rd booster shot, while the other parts of the world, for instance, Africa, where the vaccination rate is in single digit. Now, does this show that America is back at the global level politics? The answer would be perhaps no. Again, in recent times, Biden team has reportedly shut down the Trump era lab leak theory, which was being investigated. Now, this has also been shut down, again, in a clear-cut step to appease China, where some sort of rapprochement is expected again in future. But from all this discussion, what we understand is the presidency has changed, but the policies have not changed. Just the tone has changed, right? Now, let me just give you an example in Hindi. हिंदी में एक कहावत है कि अगर कोई जूते से मार रहा है तो पता चल रहा है कि जूते से मार रहा है, राइट? क्योंकि दैट इज द नेकेडनेस ऑफ ट्रम्प एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की जूते से पड़ रही है. बट अगर आप जूते पे एक मखमली रुमाल लपेट के मार रहे हो तो लग रहा है कि मखमल से मार रहे हो, बट अंदर तो जूता ही है. आई होप यू डू अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम दिस example that what is happening, right? Not much has changed, just the tone has changed, and the tone is that makhmal ka kapda. Do let me know your thoughts about this. This is just, again, a one-sided analysis. I told you this is going to be a critical analysis with respect to US administration and Trump's policies in the last 8 months. So the conclusion here is that not much has changed, just the tone has changed, but the policies have been remaining more or less same. Do let me know your thoughts on this. With that, let me end my discussion. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.